Let's start with Redfall. It's an open-world game, but instead of sprawling wilderness or massive cities, it's all about this eerie, abandoned town with so much personality. You are dropped into the town of Redfall, which has been overrun by vampires. And let's just say they've turned the once charming town into a creepy, yet oddly beautiful dystopia. It's a shooter at its core, but it's not just about mowing down enemies, although there's plenty of that too. The game gives you freedom to approach situations your way. Want to go guns blazing? Do it. Prefer sneaking around and picking enemies off one by one? Totally an option. It's all about playing how you want, and the tools you're given make it so satisfying. And those tools? Let's just say Redfall is big on variety. Each character has unique abilities that add some serious flair to the gameplay. Whether it's summoning a spectral elevator, yes really, or using telekinesis to toss enemies around, there's always something cool up your sleeve. It's like mixing supernatural powers with a good old-fashioned arsenal of weapons. Speaking of weapons, the game has some ridiculously fun ones to use. Stake launchers, UV beams, and other vamp-slaying tools feel inventive and impactful. Now, if you're a fan of co-op games, this is where Redfall becomes a must-play. You can team up with friends, each picking a different character with unique skills, and create absolute chaos together. It's one of those games where you'll find yourself yelling, "Wait, check this out," every 5 minutes as you pull off some wild move or discover a hidden area. Next we have Ghost of a Tale. Imagine stepping into a world where you play as a little mouse named Tilo, a minstrel with a big heart and a knack for sneaking around. This is a game where charm and danger walk hand in hand, and it's absolutely magical. And speaking of being tiny, that's where the real fun begins. You're not some overpowered hero here. You're small, vulnerable, and, well, adorable. But don't let that fool you. Tilo's resourcefulness is what makes him stand out. The game is all about using your wits to outsmart enemies and navigate the world, and that sense of being the underdog makes every victory feel so much sweeter. The stealth mechanics are at the heart of the gameplay. As Tilo, you'll spend a lot of time sneaking past guards, hiding in barrels, and darting through shadows to avoid being spotted. It's tense, but never overly punishing. You're always encouraged to think creatively, whether that's distracting enemies with objects, learning their patrol routes, or even donning disguises to blend in. There's a real sense of satisfaction when you successfully slip past a heavily guarded area without getting caught. One of the coolest things about Ghost of a Tale is how much freedom you're given to explore. The game's world may not be massive, but it's packed with hidden paths, secret areas, and collectibles that reward curiosity. You're constantly encouraged to look around, experiment, and try new things. And that sense of discovery is one of the game's biggest joys. It's a game about sneaking, exploring, and solving problems. Next we have The Wind Road. You know those moments when you stumble upon a game you've never heard of, and it ends up surprising you in the best way possible? That's exactly how I felt about The Wind Road. The fighting in The Wind Road is where the game really shines. It's all about martial arts, and the combat system is designed to make you feel like a wuxia hero in training. You've got fluid moves, combos, and counters. And the game encourages you to fight smart, rather than just button mashing. Timing and precision are key, and when you pull off a perfectly executed combo, it feels so satisfying. Plus, the weapons you can use are super fun to experiment with. Swords, spears, and even fists if you're feeling bold. Each weapon has its own playstyle, so there's plenty of room to find what suits you best. One thing I really loved is how much emphasis the game puts on storytelling. Wuxia tales are all about honor, revenge, and moral dilemmas, and The Wind Road captures that perfectly. The game doesn't just give you a straightforward narrative, it weaves in themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the pursuit of justice. But it's not just the big story beats that make this game special. The little details add so much character, whether it's the dialogue with NPCs, the lore hidden in documents, or the gorgeous music that accompanies your journey. Everything feels thoughtfully crafted. One thing I'd say is that The Wind Road might not be a game for everyone. It's not a massive AAA title with all the bells and whistles. It's more of a focused, immersive experience, and that's part of its charm. Next we have another Crab's treasure. If you've ever wanted to experience the thrill of a Souls-like game, but also wished it involved a crab wielding trash as armor, well, you're in for a treat. You play as Krill, a crab who's on a mission to recover his stolen shell. Simple, right? Well, not quite. The underwater world is vast, vibrant, and packed with enemies and obstacles that will test your skills at every turn. Krill may be small, but he's scrappy, And that's what makes him such a lovable protagonist. Another Crab's Treasure takes the idea of Souls-like combat and makes it accessible without losing the tension and strategy that fans of the genre love. Every fight is a dance. You'll need to dodge, block, and time your attacks carefully to come out on top. But what makes the combat so unique is Krill's ability to pick up discarded junk and use it as makeshift armor. Found a tin can? That's your shell now. How about an old teacup? Yep, that works too. Each piece of armor comes with its own perks and drawbacks, so experimenting with different setups is half the fun. What's great about this system is how it ties into the game's larger theme. Beneath the humor and silliness, there's a subtle commentary on environmentalism and resourcefulness. The ocean is littered with human waste, and Krill's ability to turn trash into treasure feels like a playful nudge toward taking better care of our planet. But don't let the lighthearted tone fool you. Another Crab's Treasure still packs a punch in the gameplay department. It's fun, it's challenging, and above all, it's a reminder that even the smallest hero can make the biggest splash. Next we have Mortal Kombat 11, the game that takes everything you know and love about this legendary franchise and cranks it up to 11, literally. The combat feels tight, responsive, and packed with layers of depth. Whether you're a button masher or someone who's memorized every single combo in the series, the game caters to all kinds of players. It's easy to jump in and start throwing punches, but mastering a character, that's where the real fun begins. And speaking of characters, the roster here is incredible. You've got old favorites, some unexpected returns, and a few surprises that will definitely keep you on your toes. Each fighter feels unique, with their own playstyle, moves, and, of course, those iconic fatalities. Seriously, the fatalities in this game are a spectacle. They're gruesome, sure, but they're also so over the top that you can't help but laugh and cringe. It's like a masterclass in creative chaos. But it's not just about fighting, it's about strategy. Mortal Kombat 11 introduces new mechanics like the Fatal Blow and Crushing Blows, which add an extra layer of depth to each match. These aren't just flashy moves, they're game changers that can turn the tide of a fight if used wisely. It's all about timing and knowing when to strike, and it keeps every match feeling fresh and unpredictable. One thing that stands out is how accessible the game feels without sacrificing its complexity. If you're new to the series, the tutorials are super helpful, breaking down everything from basic moves to advanced strategies. And for veterans, there's plenty to sink your teeth into. Next we have Thymesia. If you've ever played action RPGs that thrive on precise, skill-based gameplay, you'll feel right at home. The combat in Thymesia is all about speed, timing, and strategy. It's fast, fluid, and incredibly satisfying when you get the hang of it. You'll need to dodge, parry, and strike with precision, because the enemies here don't mess around. But don't worry, Thymesia gives you some pretty awesome tools to fight back. One of the coolest things about the combat is the plague weapon system. Essentially, you can steal and wield the special abilities of your enemies. How cool is that? It's like turning their own power against them, and it adds a whole new layer of strategy. You can customize your playstyle by collecting and upgrading these plague weapons, so whether you want to focus on raw damage, ranged attacks, or something more tactical, the game lets you experiment. What's great is that Thymesia doesn't waste your time. It's a tight, streamlined experience that respects the player. There's no endless grinding or filler. Every moment feels purposeful, whether you're fighting enemies, exploring eerie locations, or upgrading your abilities. It's one of those games where you feel like you're constantly progressing, which keeps things engaging from start to finish. The bosses in this game deserve a special mention. They're tough, sure, but they're also super creative. Each one feels like a puzzle you have to solve, not just in how you fight them, but in how you approach the encounter. They're challenging, but not in a frustrating way. It's more about learning their patterns, figuring out the best strategy, and then nailing that execution. Next, we have Space Engineers. The game is a sandbox at heart, which means you get to decide what to do. Want to build a sleek starship to explore distant planets? Go for it. Prefer to construct an impenetrable space station bristling with defenses? That's on the table too. The only limit here is your imagination, and maybe the laws of physics, but even those are negotiable. One of the first things you'll notice is the sheer scale of the game. Space feels massive, and it should. Whether you're drifting through the quiet vacuum between asteroid belts or staring into the infinite void dotted with stars, it's immersive in the best way, pulling you into its vast, open-ended world. Now, let's talk about building, because that's where Space Engineers truly shines. The game gives you all the tools you need to create everything from simple rovers to massive, fully functional starships. The detail here is incredible. You're not just slapping blocks together, you're designing systems. You'll need to think about thrusters, power sources, cargo capacity, and even how to maintain structural integrity in zero gravity. It's like solving a giant cosmic puzzle, and the payoff is watching your creation take shape and actually work. And the best part, everything in the game is destructible. If you're anything like me, there's something ridiculously satisfying about crashing a spaceship you painstakingly built just to see how the pieces scatter across an asteroid field. It's not just for fun either. Understanding how things break helps you design better, stronger creations. Next we have Call of the Sea. If you're in the mood for something a little different, something vibrant, mysterious, and dripping with heart, this game should be on your radar. It's not about high-octane action or gritty battles. Nope. This is a game that invites you to slow down, soak in the scenery, and get lost in a beautifully crafted story. The premise of Call of the Sea is pretty simple, yet totally intriguing. You play as Nora, a woman searching for her missing husband on a strange, uncharted island. But here's the twist. This island isn't just any island. It's bursting with mystery and an air of otherworldly magic. From the moment you arrive, you know you're in for something special. As you delve deeper, you'll encounter ruins, puzzles, and little details that hint at something much bigger and a bit stranger than you might expect. And let me tell you, the puzzles in this game are so satisfying. They're challenging enough to make you think, but never so frustrating that you feel stuck for hours. It's the kind of game that rewards you for paying attention to your surroundings. Every little detail, an engraving on a rock, a piece of paper tucked away in a corner, could be the key to solving the next puzzle. And when you do figure it out, it's such a rewarding moment. What I really love about Call of the Sea is how unique it feels. It's not trying to be a blockbuster game or follow any trends. Instead, it carves out its own little niche as a thoughtful, beautiful, and emotionally resonant adventure. It's a game that reminds you why you love exploring new worlds. Next, we have Suicide Squad. It's like someone said, what if we took some of DC's most notorious anti-heroes, dropped them into a massive city, and let them go completely wild? And guess what? The result is an absolute blast. The story centers around the Suicide Squad being tasked with a seemingly impossible mission, taking down the Justice League. You heard that right. The same squad of misfits, outcasts, and anti-heroes is squaring off against some of the most powerful heroes in the DC universe. You know it's going to be a wild ride when Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang are the heroes of the story. Each squad member plays completely differently, so you're not just stuck with one playstyle. Harley Quinn brings her acrobatics and melee chaos. Deadshot is your go-to sharpshooter with precision-based gameplay. King Shark smashes through enemies with raw strength. And Captain Boomerang? He's all about speed and style. Switching between characters keeps the combat fresh, and you'll definitely find a favorite among the crew. The combat itself is pure adrenaline. Imagine fast-paced, third-person shooting mixed with unique abilities for each character. It's not just about blasting enemies, though there's plenty of that. It's also about using your skills creatively. Whether it's chaining together combos, taking to the skies for a mid-air assault, or wrecking the environment to your advantage. The game encourages you to experiment and have fun. Oh, and did I mention the enemies? Without giving too much away, let's just say they're a lot more than your typical goons. Next we have Scum. What sets Scum apart from other survival games is how detailed it is. And I mean detailed. This isn't just about finding food and water to stay alive. No, Scum dives deep, literally, into your character's metabolism. You need to manage your energy, protein, hydration, and even vitamins. Yep, you might actually learn a bit about nutrition while playing. It sounds overwhelming, but it's surprisingly fun. You're not just playing a character, you're micromanaging a human being, and it's oddly satisfying to see everything come together when you're doing well. Of course, it wouldn't be a survival game without threats, right? The island is home to all sorts of challenges, from aggressive wildlife to freaky zombie-like creatures. And let's not forget other players. If you're playing on a multiplayer server, you'll need to keep an eye out for those who might see you as an easy target. But here's the thing. Scum gives you the tools to adapt to these dangers. You can focus on stealth and avoid conflict altogether, or you can gear up and take on anything, or anyone that stands in your way. And then there's the crafting. This game is a survivalist's dream when it comes to creating tools, weapons, and even shelter. Whether you're whipping up a campfire, piecing together weapons from scraps, or making improvised gear, crafting in Scum feels practical and rewarding. Every item you make feels like an accomplishment, especially when you've scavenged for hours to find just the right materials. The combat is dynamic and tense. It's not just about having the best weapons, it's about strategy, timing, and knowing when to pick a fight.